Welcome to the QuickPro guide for GoPro Studio. This software is a great way to edit and share your videos. In this guide, we'll walk you through this process step by step. We'll show you how to import your files, edit your movies, and export them in a variety of formats suitable for any viewing platform. This is an in-depth guide. However, it's not intended to be a complete replacement for the GoPro Studio user's manual. In this guide, we'll start with an overview of the menu system. Then we'll walk you through the three-step workflow of importing, editing, and exporting your videos by cutting together a short movie of our own. This is intended to be a hands-on guide, so I encourage you to follow along by making your own video using clips from your GoPro camera. Let's get rolling. The first thing we'll need to do is download and install GoPro Studio. To download the software, go to www.gopro.com. Hover over Products and select Software and App. Here, select GoPro Studio Edit Software. Now, click Download Now. Select your operating system, Mac, and enter your email address. You can choose whether or not you'd like to receive GoPro's email newsletter and also whether or not you'd like to receive invitations to provide feedback on the software. If you do not wish to receive emails from GoPro, simply deselect those options. Now click Download Now and the software will begin downloading. Now double-click on the disk image icon. In this file you will see a README file which contains version information, system requirements, bug fixes, etc., and an end-user license agreement that you can read through if you like, and the GoPro Studio package file. Double-click the package file to begin installation. Here you'll see the README file again. Click Continue. Here is the license agreement again. Click Continue, and if you agree with the terms of the software license agreement, click Agree. If you're like, no way, I don't agree with nothing, then click Disagree and the installation will be canceled. But we agree, so we're going to click Agree. Here we can change the install location or we can click Install to accept the default location. Enter your computer password if prompted and the installation will begin. This only takes a moment and you will see the successful installation screen. Click Close. Your software is now installed and ready to use. To open GoPro Studio, simply open Spotlight and type GoPro. GoPro Studio should show up in your applications. Click it and the software will open. To download the software for PC, visit www.gopro.com, hover over Products and select Software and App. Here, select GoPro Studio Edit and Software. Now, click Download Now. Select your operating system, PC, and enter your email address. You can choose whether or not you'd like to receive GoPro's email newsletter and also whether or not you'd like to receive invitations to provide feedback on the software. If you do not wish to receive emails from GoPro, simply deselect those options. Now click Download Now and the software will begin downloading. Now double-click the installer application icon. If the Open File Security warning pops up, click Run. The GoPro Studio installer will launch. Close any open applications and click Next. Here is the license agreement. If you accept the terms of this agreement, check the box and click Next. Here you can accept the default installation location or click Browse to select your own. Now click Install. The installation may take a few minutes and you might be faced with some pop-up boxes along the way. Once the software has been installed, click Finish to close the installation wizard. Your software is now installed and ready to use. Transferring files from your GoPro camera is easy. If you're using a Mac, Connect the USB cable to your camera and the other end to your computer. Turn the camera on, and when the camera shows up on your desktop, you can double-click the icon. Here, you'll find a couple of folders. Double-click the DCIM folder. Inside this folder, you'll find another folder labeled 100 GoPro, which contains your movies and images. You can now drag this folder to your computer and view the files. Note that photos taken in time-lapse and photo burst mode will be saved as a series of separate JPEG files. GoPro Studio will automatically recognize images that are a part of a time-lapse or photo burst sequence and allow you to easily convert them to movies. On the PC, you'll want to connect your camera and turn it on. Double-click My Computer and double-click Removable Disk. Double-click the DCIM folder. The folder labeled 100 GoPro will contain your movies and images. You can now copy this folder to your computer. Upon opening the software, you'll be faced with a new project window. And across the top of your screen, you'll see the menu system. You'll be spending most of your time in the project window, but let's take a quick tour of the menu system to get you familiar with the commands that are available here. Not all of these commands will make complete sense right now, and you may want to watch this chapter again after you've viewed the rest of the guide. You'll notice that next to each command in the menus are keyboard shortcuts. Some of you may not be familiar with shortcuts. These are simple keystroke combinations that will allow you to execute a command without having to select it from the menu system. For example, pressing the spacebar will play or pause your video, or pressing the command key with the S key will save your project. It's a good idea to get familiar with these shortcuts as they can help you considerably speed up your workflow. First, you've got the GoPro Studio menu. The first item in this menu is About GoPro Studio. Clicking on this will tell you what version of the software you're running and credits for the GoPro Studio team. Next, there is the Preferences menu. These top three items in the Preferences menu have to do with converting files, which we'll cover more in depth later. The first option allows you to use time of day for timecode. This will embed the original source file's time of day into the timecode of the converted file. This is useful if you have footage from multiple GoPro cameras that you'd like to sync. The next option is Use Real Name in Destination. This will add the real name to the beginning of the file name of converted videos. Well, you might ask what the real name is exactly. This is simply the name of the folder or card from which you are importing your media. If you've dropped all your footage from last winter's ski trip into a folder called Ski Trip, for example, you convert your files with various names such as first run, second run, and so on. GoPro Studio will automatically name your converted files Ski Trip First Run, Ski Trip Second Run, and so on. This can be a helpful way to keep your media organized. The next option is Auto Start Conversions, which will automatically start converting your video when you add it to the conversion list. The next item in this menu is Auto Save. It's a good idea to save your project on a regular basis. It's a drag to lose a project you've spent significant amounts of time working on due to a power outage or computer freeze-up. Here, you can choose to have Studio save your project automatically at specified time intervals. If you choose off, you'll need to save your project manually. Note that even if you have auto save set to on, you'll still need to save your project manually the first time, and then Studio will take over from there. The next menu item is Hide GoPro Studio, which will hide all of the Studio windows and menus, but still keep the program open in the dock. You can click the program icon in the dock to make Studio visible again. The next item is Hide Others, which will hide all of your open applications except Studio. To show all applications again, choose the next menu item, Show All. The last item is Quit GoPro Studio, which will exit the application. The next menu is the File menu. The first item here is New Project. Selecting this item will open a new project window. You can have multiple projects open at the same time. Next is Open Project. Choose this option to navigate to a project that you have saved on your hard drive. Next is Open Recent Project. This will display a list of recently opened projects, allowing you to select your file without having to navigate to it. If you'd like to clear this list, you can select Clear Menu. The next menu item is Project Auto Save. This allows you to choose how often you'd like Studio to save a backup of your project. Now you might be thinking, I thought we just did that in the Preferences menu. Valid observation, however, this menu item will allow you to choose different options for each of your open projects. Just in case you'd like Project A to be saved every 30 seconds and Project B to be saved only once per hour. I'm not entirely sure why you'd want to do that, but here you have that option. The next menu item is Match Stereo Pair. When you shoot 3D movies with the GoPro Hero 3D system, you will have two separate folders for the left and right images. Studio will import these as a matched pair automatically so long as you have your two folders located in the same place. There may be times, however, when you'll need to manually import a matched pair of files. If you've changed folder names or file names, for example. In this case, you can import the left and right files separately. Select them both and choose Match Stereo Pair. The next menu item is Import Media. Choose this to import media files for conversion. The Import New Files button in the project window will do the same thing. You can also simply drag your files to the import bin. The next menu item is Load Edit Template. This will open a gallery of edit templates that you have installed on your computer. Edit templates make it easy and quick to piece together an epic GoPro style movie. We'll be going through these in detail later in this guide. You can also load edit templates by clicking the Load Template button in the Edit section of the project window. Next, there is Close, which will close the currently active project. Next up is Save, which will save the currently active project. Save Project As will allow you to save your project with a new name. And the last item in the File menu is Revert to Saved, which will restore your project to the last saved state. The next menu is the Edit menu, beginning with Undo, which will undo the last change you made to the storyboard. You can undo up to 50 of your most recent adjustments. Redo will redo an action that you've just undone. If you've undone your last 20 actions and then change your mind, simply redo it 20 times and you'll be right back where you started. Cut will remove the selected item from the storyboard and save it to the clipboard. You can then paste it in another area using the paste command below. Copy will copy the selected item from the storyboard and save it to the clipboard. You can then use the paste command to duplicate it somewhere else on the storyboard. As we just discussed, paste will paste the cut or copied clipboard item to the selected area of the storyboard. Clear Storyboard will remove everything from the storyboard, leaving you with a fresh new workspace. If you happen to do this by accident, don't panic, just choose Undo from the Edit menu. The last item in the Edit menu is Reset All, which will remove all attributes such as changes to exposure, speed, color, etc. from all of the clips on your storyboard. The next menu is the View menu, beginning with the Enter Full Screen, which will enable a full screen view of the player window. Next, we have Play Pause, which will start and stop playback of movies in the player window. Next, we have Fast Rewind and Fast Forward, which will both do exactly what you'd expect. The next two items are Previous Edit Point and Next Edit Point, which will move the time indicator on the storyboard to the previous or next clip. Mark In and Mark Out will set the in and out points of your clips. In the Import bin, you can select the in and out points to choose which portion of the clip you'd like to convert. In the player window of the Edit screen, you can set in and out points to choose which part of the clip you'd like to add to the storyboard. Step Reverse will move your clip backward one frame at a time, and Step Forward will move the clip forward one frame at a time. These commands are ideal for pinpointing specific in and out points. Split will cut up the selected clip on the storyboard into two separate clips. This is nice when you want to separate a clip to add a little footage in between. The final item in the View menu is Loop Playback, which will loop the playback of the selected clip on the storyboard. The next menu in Studio is Share, with two options, Export Movie and Export Still. Export Movie will export the entire storyboard, and Export Still will export the current frame on the storyboard as a still image. This is great for capturing the perfect action shot. The next menu is the Window menu. The first option here is Minimize, which will hide GoPro Studio, but leave it open in the dock. The next option is Zoom, which will cause the project window to fill the entire screen. Next, there is Show Conversion Details. If you select a clip from the conversion list and choose this command, you'll get a handy little pop-up window displaying the conversion details of the selected clip. Bring All to Front will cause all GoPro Studio windows to appear in front of any other open applications. Below that, you will see a list of currently open projects. Clicking on a project name will cause the project to appear in front of any other projects. The final menu in GoPro Studio is Help. On top, you'll find a search bar. This is handy if you know the name of a menu command, but you can't remember where it's located. You can type the name of the menu command here, hover over it, and the large arrow will direct you to the menu and location of the command. You can also simply select the command from the search results. Next is GoPro Studio Manual, which will open the GoPro Manual as a PDF document. Next is Online Support, which will direct you to a support section of the GoPro website. Next is the Tutorial option, which will open a brief tutorial on importing or editing, depending on what tab you're on. The final item in the Help menu is Device Window, where you can register, update, and configure GoPro devices. Upon opening the software, you'll be faced with a new project window. And across the top of your screen, you'll see the menu system. You'll be spending most of your time in the project window, but let's take a quick tour of the menu system to get you familiar with the commands that are available there. Not all of these commands will make complete sense right now, and you may want to watch this chapter again after you've viewed the rest of the guide. You'll notice that next to each command in the menus are keyboard shortcuts. Some of you may not be familiar with shortcuts. These are simple keystroke combinations that will allow you to execute a command without having to select it from the menu system. For example, pressing the spacebar will play or pause your video, or pressing the Control key with the S key will save your project. It's a good idea to get familiar with these shortcuts as they can help you considerably speed up your workflow. First, you have the File menu. The first item in the File menu is New Project. Select this to open a new project. Next is Open Project. Choose this to open a project you have saved on your hard drive. Next is Save Project. Choose this to save the current project to your hard drive. Next is Save Project As. Choose this to save a copy of your current project under a different name. Next is Recent Projects, which will display a list of recent projects. To open a project, simply select it from the list. Next, there is Load Template, which will open the GoPro Edit Templates window, where you can choose from a variety of GoPro's most popular edit templates. We'll talk about edit templates later in this guide. Next, there is Export, which will allow you to export movies or still images from your storyboard. The last item in the File menu is Exit, which will close the application. The next menu is the Edit menu, beginning with Redo, which will redo an action that you've just undone. If you've undone your last 20 actions and you change your mind, simply redo it 20 times and you'll be right back where you started. Next is Undo, which will undo the last change you made to your storyboard. You can undo up to 50 of your most recent adjustments. Copy will copy the selected items from the storyboard and save it to the clipboard. You can then use the Paste command to duplicate it somewhere else on the storyboard. As we just discussed, Paste will paste the cut or copied clipboard item to the selected area of the storyboard. Clear Storyboard will remove everything from the storyboard, leaving you with a fresh, new workspace. If you happen to do this by accident, don't panic, just choose Undo from the Edit menu. The last item in the Edit menu is Preferences, where you can choose how often you'd like Studio to automatically save your project. It's a good idea to save your project on a regular basis. It's a drag to lose a project you've spent significant amounts of time working on due to a power outage or computer freeze-up. Here you can choose to have Studio save your project automatically at a specified time interval. If you choose Off, you need to save your project manually. Note that even if you have autosave set to on, you'll still need to save your project manually the first time, and then Studio will take over from there. The final menu is the Help menu. This menu begins with Tutorial, which will open a brief tutorial on importing and editing, depending on what tab you're on. Next, there is Device Window, where you can register, update, and configure GoPro devices. Next, there is GoPro Studio Manual, which will open the GoPro manual. Next, there is Online Support, which will direct you to the support section of the GoPro website. When you open the software, you'll be faced with this new project window. A project workflow consists of 3 main steps. Step 1 is to import and convert. Step 2 is to edit, and Step 3 is to export. Each step has its own work area and different buttons and commands that pertain to that particular step. Most digital cameras, including the Hero 3 Plus, use a special compression that allow them to write large amounts of data to the memory card very quickly and save that data in the smallest file possible. However, these ultra-compressed files are difficult for your computer to decode and play smoothly. In addition, these compressed files have a hard time holding up under heavy editing and color processing. The image quality can quickly deteriorate. In Step 1, GoPro Studio will convert your files to the GoPro Cineform format. Cineform files greatly improve playback speed and image quality and are better suited for editing than files coming directly from your camera. To import your video files, click the Import New Files button and navigate to the folder containing your videos. Select the files you'd like to import and click Open. You'll see your files represented as thumbnails in the import bin. These video thumbnails include the file name, size, frame rate, or frame count if it's a time-lapse sequence, whether the video was recorded in 2D or 3D, the video or time-lapse icon, and the duration. To convert a file, click the thumbnail in the import bin. The video will show up in the player window. Here, you can press the play button to play back the video and pause to pause it. you can quickly scrub to specific areas by dragging the playback slider to move forward or backward one frame at a time by pressing the forward-backward one frame buttons. Here is the volume control, which will of course adjust playback volume. If you'd like to see a full screen view of the video, you can press the full screen button. Simply press Escape to exit the full screen view. If you'd like to select only a specified range of video to import, move the playhead to the frame where you'd like your clip to start and click the Mark In Point button. Then move the playhead to the frame that you'd like your clip to end and click the Mark Out button. The area of the frame represented with this light gray bar will be converted. Here you can see the in and out points and the total duration of the specified area of the video in hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. If you want to convert the entire clip, then you don't need to set the in and out points. If you have videos that were captured upside down, you can click the Rotate Flip button to automatically turn it right side up. The Advanced Settings button will allow you to choose the image size, also known as resolution, and the frame rate of your converted files. I always like to convert my videos at the highest resolution possible. You can always downsize them later. Keep in mind, however, that the larger the resolution, the larger the file size. This also applies to the frame rate. Higher frame rates make for larger file sizes. Clicking this button will allow you to speed up the footage. You can then use the slider to adjust the speed. If you speed up your footage, you can select Motion Blur to make the video look smoother. Here you can select the quality of your video. You can choose low, medium, or high. Remember, the higher the quality, the larger the file size. Once you have entered all of the settings, you can click this button to remember the settings for all future clips. Now click OK. Here you can enter the name for the saved file and click Change Directory to choose the location in which you'd like the file saved. Now click Add Clip to Conversion List and repeat the process for any other clips you'd like to convert. To remove a clip from the conversion list, select it and click Remove Clip. You can click Clear All to clear the conversion list completely. After adding your clips to the conversion list, you can click on them and choose Show Conversion Details from the window menu and verify that the conversion settings are all as you wanted. Click Convert and the conversion process will begin. This process could take a while depending on the size and number of clips in the conversion list. After the clips have been converted, click Proceed to Step 2. Time lapses recorded on your GoPro camera are saved as a series of sequential JPEG files. These files are stored in folders labeled 100 GoPro. If you have 1,000 or more images in your time lapse, a second folder will be created called 101 GoPro, then 102 GoPro, and so on. To import a time-lapse sequence, click Import New Files, select the folder that contains your time-lapse sequence, and click Open. Studio will automatically import the photo sequence as a time-lapse movie. Time-lapse sequences will be indicated by this icon. Once you've imported your time-lapse, you can preview, set in and out points, adjust settings, and basically treat it as any other movie clip. Clicking on Step 2 will take you to the Edit room. Here, you can trim and combine your clips to create a complete movie. You can add transitions, add music or other audio, add titles, adjust color, speed, contrast, and more. Let's piece together a short movie to show you how this process works. When you first enter the Edit room, you will be faced with the Edit Templates window. If for some reason you do not see the Edit Templates window, you can simply click here, Load Template, and bring it up. Here, you can choose from a number of downloaded GoPro edit templates, or you can choose to create a blank template. We'll choose Blank Template and click Create. We'll get to Edit Template presets later in this guide. Over here in the media bin, you'll see the clips that you've just converted. To import other converted movie clips or audio tracks, click the Add Media button. This is the Create New Title button. We'll talk about that in a bit. When you select a clip in the media bin, it will show up in the player window. Use the in and out point markers to select the area of your clip you'd like to add to your movie. Now you can drag your clip from the media bin to the timeline. Only the area of the clip that you've selected will be added to the timeline. Now do this with the rest of your clips. If you want to insert a clip in front of another clip, just drag it to that area. You can also reorder clips by dragging them and dropping them. To remove a clip, simply drag it out of the edit room. Get all of your clips organized the way you want them. You can fine-tune the length of your clips by selecting the clip in the timeline and adjusting the in and out points in the player window. You can also move the segment slider bar to choose a different section of your clip while keeping it the same length. This technique is useful when you're trying to sync your video to an audio track. Let's do that now. To add an audio track, click the Add Media button and navigate to your audio file. Select it and click Open. Drag the audio file to the audio section of the timeline. Now you can sync your video and audio. You can adjust the length of your audio clip by dragging the edge. Here you can adjust the volume of your audio track and choose to have it fade in or fade out. I'll have the audio fade out. Use the slider to set the length of the fade in seconds or simply type the value here. You can also click the up and down arrows to fine-tune. Let's play the video and see how it looks so far. Notice in the upper right-hand corner, you have some playback options. You can choose from Auto, Best, Better, or Good. Depending on the speed and performance of your computer, you may need to adjust these settings. If you choose Auto, Studio will automatically adjust playback settings for best performance. Best will play back at full resolution. Better will play back at half resolution. And Good will play back at 1/4 resolution. You can choose the best playback quality, and if the files are playing back choppy, lower the quality settings to see if that helps. Now that we've got our video and audio lined up, the way that we like it, we can start adding some transitions and effects. You have two options for transitions, a hard cut or a dissolve. The default is a hard cut, where one clip jumps directly to the next. To add a dissolve, you can click the plus button between the two clips. This will cause the two clips to fade together, creating a softer transition. To remove a transition, select it and press Delete or just drag it out of the edit room. Now let's twirl down the video settings. You can adjust the speed, direction, and the fade in or fade out points of any clip. We'll select this clip and slow it down a little bit. Now we've added a 1.5 second fade out and maybe a 1/2 second fade in. We'll lengthen the audio track to match the new length of the clip and see how that looks. Okay, that's starting to look pretty good. You can also select Reverse to reverse the direction of any clip. We're not going to use that here though, so we'll deselect that. Now let's talk about white balance settings. These settings will allow you to change the color and color temperature of your clips. For a cooler color, you can slide the temperature slider to the left. For a warmer overall color, you can slide it to the right. You can also adjust the tint with this slider. To reset the white balance setting, simply click the control title. Notice in our video, we have a few clips where the color doesn't quite match. This clip seems a little warmer than the one next to it. It looks like there may be a little too much yellow in the clip. We can use the temperature and tint controls to try to match these clips manually. But sometimes it's much quicker to use the eyedropper tool to automatically adjust the white balance. To use the eyedropper tool, select it and then click on something in the image that you know to be white, and Studio will automatically adjust the color temperature for you. Now our two clips match almost perfectly. If we need, we can fine-tune the color with the sliders. When making changes to the image, you can go up here and use the split slider to compare the original clip with the adjusted clip. The further you slide the slider to the right, the more of the original clip you can see. This will also reflect changes to the image adjustments and color presets, which we'll discuss in a moment. You can also keyframe your white balance settings. Keyframing is a technique that allows you to make smooth transitions from one setting to another. To keyframe your white balance settings, move the playhead to the point where you'd like the transition to begin. Click the plus sign to add the new keyframe. Now, move your playhead to the point where you would like your transition to end. Click the Add Keyframe button again. Adjust your settings and play back the section of the movie to view the results. You can quickly jump to the previous or next keyframe by pressing the arrow buttons. You can remove a keyframe by jumping to it and pressing the minus or remove keyframe button. You can remove all keyframes by pressing the reset button. Now let's move on to the image adjustments. Here you can fine-tune the exposure, the contrast, the color saturation, and the sharpness of your clips. The first setting, exposure, will adjust the brightness of your image. Moving the slider to the left will make your image darker, and moving the slider to the right will make your image brighter. Next, there is contrast, which will adjust the variation of definition between the light and dark areas of the image. By adding more contrast, the shadow areas of your image become darker as the highlights become brighter. But you'll also notice that you start to lose detail in the bright and dark areas as well. Next, you can increase or decrease the amount of color saturation in the image. Moving the slider to the right will make the color more vivid, and moving the slider to the left will make the color more subdued. If you move the slider all the way to the left, you will completely desaturate the image, leaving you with a black and white clip. Next, there is sharpness. Moving the slider to the right will increase the sharpness of your image, and moving the slider to the left will decrease the sharpness, giving your picture a softer look. As with the white balance settings, you can add keyframes to the image settings, creating smooth transitions from one setting to another. Next, you can adjust the framing of your image. You can zoom it, move it horizontally and vertically, rotate it, and even dynamically stretch it to fit the frame just how you like it. First, there is zoom, which will allow you to increase or decrease the overall image size. Next is horizontal, which will allow you to adjust the horizontal positioning of the image. Vertical will allow you to adjust the vertical positioning of the image. Rotate will allow you to rotate the image left or right. H-zoom stands for horizontal zoom and allows you to pinch or stretch your image horizontally. H-dynamic or horizontal dynamic is intended to be used with horizontal zoom. This control will allow you to select the horizontal stretch point of the image. Moving the slider to the left will stretch more of the outside areas of the image while having less effect on the center, and moving the slider to the right will stretch the center of the image while having less effect on the outside areas of the image. You can also keyframe each of these settings, which is great for adding zoom effects to your videos. For each of the white balance, image, and framing settings, you can click the Enable checkbox to quickly toggle the adjustments on or off. This is useful for comparing clips before and after adjustments. Under presets, you can choose from a number of awesome color presets to quickly give your movie a more dynamic look. The first option is None, which will remove any framing and color correction presets that you've applied. Note that this will also remove any manual adjustments that you've made to your clip. Next is 1970s, which will apply a color effect that simulates a 70s movie style. 4:3 center crop is next. This will zoom in on a clip with a 4:3 aspect ratio, clipping the top and bottom in order to fill a 16:9 frame. The 4:3 to wide will convert an image from a 4:3 aspect ratio to a 16:9 aspect ratio using a combination of framing adjustments. Candy color will add a high amount of saturation to the clip. Day for night attempts to simulate the look of footage that was shot at night. This effect works great on some clips, others not so much. Hot day will add a warm color effect that simulates the look of being closer to the sun. Night vision simulates the effect of looking through night vision goggles. Sepia will desaturate and apply a brownish color tone to the image. Vignette large will apply a large vignette to the image. Vignetting draws attention to the center of the frame by darkening the outside edges. Vignette medium will apply a medium vignette, and vignette off will remove a previously applied vignette effect. Studio will also allow you to create and save custom presets. To create a custom preset, select a clip from the storyboard, make adjustments to any of the white balance, image, or framing controls. We'll create a high contrast black and white preset and add a medium vignette. Now click the gear icon in the upper right hand corner of the presets panel. The Manage Presets window will appear. Click the plus button at the bottom of the window and enter a name for your preset. You can then choose which of the settings you'd like to include in your preset. Click OK to save your preset. Your preset will now be shown in the Presets panel. Below the Presets panel is the Reset All button. Clicking this button will remove any applied attributes from the clip, including video, white balance, image, and framing effects, keyframe adjustments, and effect presets. If you push the reset by accident, don't fret. Just press Command Z for Mac or Control Z if you're on a PC to undo the reset. In Studio, you can add up to 2 simultaneous titles to your movies. To add a title, click the Add Title button. This will create a new title in the media bin. Drag the title to one of the title tracks of your timeline. You can change the length of the title by dragging its front or back edge in the storyboard, and you can position the title by dragging it to the play window. To change the text, twirl down the title menu and type the new text in the text area. To open the font panel window, click the font name below the text area. Here you can change the font color, and the font size. You can also choose to outline your text or choose an outline color and width. Check this box to add a backplate to your text and click here to set the backplate color and opacity. When you're finished, you can close the font panel window. Here you can choose the opacity of your title. Note that this will affect both the text and the backplate of your title. Here you can specify a fade in and fade out time for your title in seconds. The kerning setting will adjust the space between the letters of your title. And the baseline setting will adjust the space between the separate lines of your title. The last setting is the parallax setting, which supposedly adjusts the closeness or farness of the text in 3D space. Okay, that about covers the editing process. I'll just take a minute to make some final adjustments, and then we'll play back the entire movie. All right, so that gives you an idea of what you can do with a blank template in Studio's Edit Room. Once you have everything looking just the way you want it, you can move on to step 3, export. But first, let's talk about one last thing, GoPro Edit Templates. Now, we've just talked about editing movies from scratch using a blank template. But Studio also has a number of edit template presets that you can use, which make it easy to create epic GoPro-style videos. Upon entering the Edit Room, you are by default faced with the Edit Templates window. If not, you can simply click the Load Template button to bring it up. Here, you can select from a list of pre-installed templates, or you can click this link to download more templates from GoPro's website. From this page, you can preview and download GoPro's most popular video templates. Find a template you want and click Download Template. Once the download has completed, you can double-click the template and Studio will automatically install it and add it here to the Browse Edit Templates window. The Browse Edit Templates window will show you a thumbnail of the edit template, the template title, and the soundtrack title and composer, a brief description of the template, the length and the number of cuts in the template. You'll notice this little X in the upper right corner of each template thumbnail. You can click on this X to delete that template from your computer. Choose the template you want to work with and click Create. Studio will load the template complete with the sample video clips, titles, and soundtrack. All you need to do is replace the content on the storyboard with your own content and you're ready to export a finished movie. Let's first watch the entire template to get a feel for what's going on. Okay, so we have a short GoPro intro followed by these 4 clips with target icons over them. We've got a couple of titles, a short GoPro outro, and a soundtrack. Each clip in the storyboard is synced to the soundtrack and it's locked into place. You cannot change the placement or the duration of the clips. You can, however, make adjustments to all the other settings such as white balance, speed, exposure, etc. The first and last clips in our edit template are called bumpers. These display the GoPro logo and tagline and are completely optional. You can replace these with your own footage or graphics, but you can't delete them. The clips with the target icons are called target areas. You'll replace these with your own clips. These are the template titles. You can change these and move them anywhere you want. These are the only items on the storyboard whose position and duration can be changed. Let's replace the target areas with our own footage. When adding your own footage, pay close attention to the energy and feel of the original clip. Is it fast-paced, slow-paced? To get the most of the edit templates, you'll want the energy and the feel of your clips to match the original clips. So here, the first 3 clips are basically setting up for the big jump at the end. We'll do basically the same thing. I'll drop an establishing shot in here that shows our location. Then I'll show our grassroots powder surfer dropping in, cut to him cruising downhill, and end up with a dramatic jump. Now the clips probably aren't going to match up perfectly, so we'll need to make some adjustments. So clip 1 is actually a shot of him carving this bank, but I'm just using the first bit of it to establish the scene. So I'm going to make sure that the active area of our clip, which is indicated by this gray bar, is over an area where no action is taking place. Now let's add some visual interest by zooming out a little bit. We'll go to the first frame of our clip and twirl down to the framing menu to add a keyframe. Now we'll zoom in a little and move the playhead to the last frame of our clip. Add another keyframe and zoom the image back out. Now we have this nice zoom out effect applied to our opening clip. Our next clip shows the powder surfer dropping in. Again, we need to adjust the timing to fit the space we have. We want to get him just as he starts to go, so we'll move the gray bar area to that point and watch it. Okay, that looks good. Our next clip shows him coming around this corner. I want to get the snow flying and have the clip cut right before he goes off screen. We'll start the clip right about there. He doesn't quite get as far as I want him to, so let's adjust the speed of the clip a little bit. We'll change it from 50% to 60%. Now that looks better. Okay, our last clip is the big jump. Again, we move the gray bar to choose the portion of the clip that we like. I want to get him right as he's coming into frame. Okay, that looks great, but I'm not real happy with the color of this clip. You can see it doesn't match the other clips too well. So we'll adjust the white balance. Let's try the eyedropper tool first. We'll click the eyedropper and then click on something white in the frame. In this case, that's pretty easy, seeing how our frame is covered with snow. That helped, but I think we could boost the saturation up a little bit. We'll bring that up a touch and maybe boost the exposure a little too. Okay, that looks pretty close, but let's boost the contrast just a touch. And there we go. Now let's change our titles. To do this, simply click the title and enter the new text in the text box. You can modify the text in the same way as you can a blank template. Now click on the second title and change that text. And that's it. Okay, let's see how our movie looks. We'll go back to the beginning and press play. Okay, that looks great. That should give you an idea of how to use the GoPro edit templates with your own footage. Remember, although you can't change the duration or position of the clips, you have complete creative control over video settings, white balance, image adjustments, framing, and even color presets. Now it's time to move on to step 3, export. Okay, now that we have everything looking exactly the way that we want it, we'll move on to step 3, export. When you click the Export tab or choose Export Movie from the Share menu, the export window will appear. Enter a name for your movie and choose where you'd like to have it saved. Here you can select from a number of preset export settings. Mobile creates a lower quality MP4 file suitable for playback on mobile phones and other portable devices. HD 720 will create a 1280 by 720 video with a bit rate of 8 megabits per second. The HD 1080 setting will create a 1920 by 1080 movie with a 15 megabits per second bit rate. Archive creates a GoPro Cineform movie file. With this setting, you can choose a high, medium, or low quality video file. Vimeo creates an above average quality MP4 file with a bit rate of 15 megabits per second. YouTube creates an average quality MP4 file with an 8 megabits per second bit rate. Or you can choose custom to select your own settings. If you choose custom, you can select a quality setting ranging from 1 megabit per second to 50 megabits per second. You can also change the resolution or image size and the frame rate. Finally, you can choose to encode the movie as an H.264 or GoPro Cineform. As you're making changes to these settings, you can see your final file size here. Unless you are a more experienced user, you'll probably want to stick with one of these preset settings. Now click Export and the movie will be saved. This can take quite a while depending on the length of your movie. With GoPro Studio, you can also choose to export single frames of your movie as JPEG files. To do this, select a clip from the bin or the storyboard and move the playhead to the frame that you'd like to export. Now choose Share, Export Still. Here you can enter a name for your image and choose the location where you'd like it saved. Down here you can choose the image size. Small will create a JPEG with a size of 853 pixels by 480 pixels. Medium will create an image size of 1280 pixels by 720 pixels. Large will create an image size of 1920 by 1080 pixels. And actual size will create an image the same size as the source clip or storyboard. Now click Export to save the image. This brings us to the end of this guide. We hope you've enjoyed learning more about the GoPro Studio software. We know this new information will give you enough confidence and know-how to take your editing skills to new levels. Remember, you can refer back to any section of this guide at any time. You can also refer to the GoPro Studio reference manual located in the Help menu for more information on Studio's advanced features. Also, watch for more QuickPro guides on newly released cameras. Thanks for watching.